The question is, why is turning 40 not the beginning of a decline, but a chance to start fresh? This lovely quote I found by Dr. Carl Jung, the famous psychiatrist, psychologist. He says, life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you're just doing research. And then I was always inspired by Dante Alighieri, who wrote the Divine Comedy beginning at age 43. And one of the there's many translations from the Italian. One of the translations that I love goes, midway through our life's journey, I went astray from the straight road and woke up to find myself alone in a dark room, in a dark wood, pardon. And shortly thereafter, that's when he sees light and Virgil comes and he begins his journey through the different realms. Now, this was something he wrote at 43, and he spent the next 10 years of his life writing. And then at the same time, I've got Dr. Carl Jung saying, yeah, we've been doing research and we get to 40. I started to observe after looking at that, when I started to observe, say, people that came into my chiropractic office, the ones that are a little more dedicated to, how healthy can I make myself? How can I use this to change? At this point, I'm at a point now where I really want to sit down and dedicate myself a little bit more to doing this for my physical health, or this in my job, or I want my body to work so that I can be doing this. And they do a lot of these long-term sort of more, I've got more of a vision than just an immediate need to get well that I don't see in certain other people. And a majority of them were in their 40s and early 50s. So looking at 40 being a turning point, that's where I saw it. And I go, and myself, when I got into my 40s and really started to go, okay, where are we going at this point? Here's where we've been, here's where we are, here's other things I really would love to be doing. And how do I restructure my life in order to do that? And you're looking at something like your 40s. A lot of times you see all this crap out there where they're like, oh, your metabolism is going to fall apart and this is going to be gone, and oh, half your life's already wasted. And it was somewhere where somebody asked me, they go, don't you wish you wouldn't have wasted all those years early on studying theater arts and English literature and traveling the world and gone travel writing and done this and worked these odd jobs and done these different things? And I go, how can that ever be a waste? There's not a single day in my life that I'm going to use everything that I've learned in every single way, because without any of that, I wouldn't be me. And then Jung's quote started to make sense. I go, I've just been researching these past 40 years, and it doesn't matter. Maybe it's 30 years, maybe it's 60 years, maybe it's 80 years, hell, maybe it's 95 years. And you're just finally ready to say, yeah, I'm going to go do this. So it's a turning point. It doesn't even have to be a turning point. You can stop and look at where you're at. If you're 34 years old and just suddenly decide to say, yeah, you know what? I always wanted to be a parent. Let's get started now. For a great example, my youngest brother has turned 40 years old. And he just became a parent for the first time. He's on an adventure. That's a little different than his friends that became parents at 19 or 20 that are already getting rid of kids and trying to figure out a different direction to go in their life. So it's that point of 40 where we probably have a little more stability in our lives. We've probably learned a lot, and there's things we're taking the time now to try to learn. We're probably a little bit more dedicated to where we want to be sort of on our spiritual path, whether it's this type of church or the type of faith that we're following, and kind of a little more set in those ideas of spirituality and where we want to be. We're probably a little bit more stable as far as finances and not living so much, say, paycheck to paycheck, or kind of at the edge of our teeth. Probably found jobs that are a little bit better for you, whether you decided to leave where you're going and decide to go out on a limb, or you've got good stable management position. You tend to have great social plays where the group of friends you're going to be around or the leadership roles you're going to take. I see a lot of individuals now that are getting into, say, city council and county boards and stuff. They tend to be around in their 40s, a lot of them, when they're first doing that, or even at least their late 30s. And then I see people that now their relationship is set, whether they've had to change relationships or they're a little more stable with where they're at. And then their physical health, some people start to look at that and they go, geez, I've kind of been neglecting this. In order to go over here, I'm going to work on my physical health. Or they're really, really fit and they're going, you know what, I need something else that's going to go in there and help inspire me and stimulate me to go on. And that's usually around their 40s. So 40 is a turning point. 40 isn't even the turning point. 40 is where you sit down and you go, wow, I've made it this far. How exciting that I got all this to go. And it doesn't, we never know how much time we have left. We just know we have time left. But if 40 is roughly middle age, instead of a midlife crisis, which is, oh, they're questioning everything, midlife crisis and question everything and say, okay, midway through my life's journey, I found myself alone in a dark wood. Well, now what are we going to do? We'll go toward the light and we'll go live the life that we want. That's where a lot of people sit down and really, really reinvent themselves. Or they take where they're already at and they say, how much farther can we go?